Vivek Ramaswamy and, of course, Elon Musk, reviewing and looking at all the books and spending, including in the Defense Department, and that there's a lot of waste going on there. What did you make of that?
I think there absolutely is, Neil. I'll give you a quick snapshot of where you can cut a lot of waste. In World War II, we fought it to victory with 4,000 ships and about 100 admirals. At the height of the Reagan buildup, we had just shy of 600 ships and 125 admirals and broke the economic back of the Soviet Union. Today, I'm around 290 ships, but I have over 400 admirals and senior civilians running the Navy. That kind of bloated bureaucracy needs to be cut in half throughout all the services.
Wow. Former USS Cole Commander Kirk Lippold telling Neil over the weekend there is definitely room for Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy's DOGE to take a look at the Defense Department to cut spending, citing a high amount of admirals and senior members in just the Navy alone. Let's get reaction now from former U.S. Undersecretary of the U.S. Army Patrick Murphy and Wall Street Journal editorial board member Bill McGurn. Gentlemen, great to see you. Patrick, let me go to you first. The commander makes a lot of sense. And again, he wasn't just speaking about the Navy here. This is a kind of a bloat, the bureaucratic bloat that has made the Defense Department into a machine that's a lot slower than it should be. Don't you agree?
I agree with that. It's slower than it needs to be, but it's still the best fighting force that's ever walked the face of this planet. But that's why we need to have DOGE, and we need to have it do what it needs to do, and that's advise from the outside a perspective to make sure we get this right. And just cutting, with basically a hatchet to say, well, we just got to cut in half. I'm not sure if that's actually the case. We need to make sure that the ecosystem, David, of our Pentagon is ready, because the pace of change has never been quicker in world history. We got to make sure that we're on top of it, because our adversaries are watching our every single move.
But Bill, that ecosystem has some serious problems. It's a sick ecosystem. Many people would say, even some top generals who agree with Patrick. By the way, it's basically nonpartisan, because Patrick is Democrat. Republicans are saying very similar things. That's in favor of DOGE, Bill, is it not? The fact that this is recognized by both parties as a problem.
Yeah, when the government spends as much money as it does, and the Pentagon gets a lot of it, there's guaranteed to be $500 toilet seats and other scandals like that. So I think there's certainly a lot of fact. It's very hard to do, I think, even by people who are really smart, Elon Musk, and know what they're doing, because government does not have a real pricing mechanism. So I think it's inevitable that it kind of goes to bloat. The only way to keep it under control is to shrink government, to make it smaller. The belief that you can make an efficient government, I'm very skeptical.
Well, but Patrick, at the same time, in addition to shrinking the size, there are a lot of these defense contractors that have settled into districts, congressional districts, and you were a congressman as well as working for the Army, and you know how that goes. I mean, once they feel entitled to suck off the government, it's very hard to pry them loose, and very often they have support from their ossification from members of Congress. No?
That's why, when you had a great president in Dwight Eisenhower, in his farewell address, talked about the military-industrial complex. And that's why we need to make sure we're doing right by the American taxpayer and absolutely doing right by the American warfighter. And so I think that's why all of us, a lot of us in America, like myself, are saying we're in favor of DOGE. We want to see new ideas. We want to see cuts where it makes sense. What we don't want to see is cutting the combat capabilities of our men and women in uniform. David, you know as well as I do as a military father, we do not want our men and women to have a fair fight. We want them to have the technical and tactical advantage over our enemy who are trying to do harm of our families. And we cannot stand by and let that happen.
That's got to be the first priority. Absolutely. I want to switch gears a little, Bill, to the sanctuary cities issue. It does appear that clearly Americans are fed up with the whole design of sanctuary cities, protecting child rapists up in Boston. I mean, crazy things like that. And Tom Homan says, look, we're going to come in. We don't care if you're a sanctuary city. We're going to come in and do our job. We don't take any threats lightly. You stand in our way and you're going to go to jail. I mean, he's literally said that. Do you think that is going over well with the American people right now?
Well, I think it's going over well with the American people. I mean, it's absurd for cities that get so much money from the federal government to say we're not going to cooperate with ICE. You know, what is that about? We're going to break the law and not cooperate with you, but you're supposed to still hand over millions. Eric Adams has made some really good noises on this.
Yes,
of course, he was all for the sanctuary cities a while ago, before he realized the cost of the city of people coming in, and he doesn't have the resources. So if he's really serious, I think instead of just complaining about the city council, he ought to really do something, like fight the issue out with them, propose something, or executive order, whatever he can do, propose something. They'll appeal it, they'll fight it, but have that fight. And that's what he needs to do now to show he's serious.
Well,
not just say the city council is causing this trouble.
Right. But he has also said that he's going to work with Tom Homan. He wants to talk to him as well as President-elect Trump. Gentlemen, great to see you both. Thank you very much for being here.